Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings to Ma'am Sri Sumani as our introduction to language lecturer and also to everyone who are watching. We are from Group 2 and we will begin presenting our project. But before we start this presentation, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Azzakry.
My name is Wahabi.
My name is Naufa Ruwayda.
Now, we will begin presenting our project. I will start from the background. Sign language are used by more than 70 million deaf people worldwide to communicate. They can learn, work, access service, and be included in their communities by using sign language. Colleges in Indonesia do not offer many programs related to sign language. However, in 2010, University of Indonesia introduced a curriculum on sign language that was taught over 2 semesters. Iwan Sharil, who is Director General for Teachers and Education Personnel at Education Ministry, said that each province should have at least one good teacher education university that provides a special needs education program. There are not many Indonesian universities that provide special needs education and programs where teachers can learn how to teach individuals with disabilities. Sign language awareness. Some of the previous studies already talk about sign language in Indonesia. There is little public awareness of sign language in Indonesia. Although a CB interpreter was included on the national news programming for a few years in the late 90s and again in 2014. Recently, sign language courses were established in Jakarta and Solo, and young Indonesians, such as university students, are generally enthusiastic and active in learning sign language. However, according to Human Rights Watch research, deaf people frequently face barriers to basic service, access to public service, and courts is affected in India, Iran, Russia due to a lack of sign language interpreter and information in accessible formats. Communication barrier affect deaf people access to health care and this in this and other countries. As we know, there's still a lot of negative stigma from society to deaf and mute people, and it's hard for normal people to learn sign language. Sign language itself is only taught in special needs schools and inclusive schools, which is not wrong, but it's not enough. Furthermore, there are not much research that show us data about how society views sign language. That's why we saw this as a gap and opportunity for us to observe the level of sign language awareness among students in Jakarta State University. Next.
The purpose. The first one is to describe students' general knowledge about deaf, mute, sign language, and its community. And second is to reveal and present the data about sign language users among students in Jakarta State University. And the third, to reveal possible barriers between students with special needs and normal university students. And the next is methodology. The first one is research method. We use the mixed method, which is mixing the quantitative method with the qualitative method. Quantitative method is focusing on numbers and percentages. Meanwhile, qualitative method is focusing on describing the answer narratively. We use a mixed method because our data were received by gathering answers with percentage among the university students, and we asked them to answer some other question narratively and and data source. For the purpose of this study, we received the data from participants of the survey, which are Jakarta State University students. And the next is instrument. We use Google Form as a tool to collect data for our research. We as researchers were also part of the instrument. And the next is data collection procedure. The first one is our survey consists of 7 questions, 4 of which are quantitative and 3 of which are qualitative. Those questions were put in Google Form to be served to university students. The questions are related to how familiar they are with sign language and their perception of deaf people and sign language. And the second questionnaire was provided to participants, and they were asked to complete it and answer the questions. And after the participant filled their questionnaire and submit it, we called it and observed their answers. And the next is data analysis procedure. In our study, we analyzed the data by observing the percentage and narrative answer that were given by the participants. Participants answered based on their point of view and experience towards sign language and the people. By narrating the participants' experience, we as researchers interpret and explain their experience. And the next is
And next, we move on to the result of the research. So the first problem we had is, what is the level of general knowledge about deaf, mute, and sign language issues among students in Jakarta State University? Well, first of all, based on our data, we can say that most of the Jakarta State University students don't know anything about sign language. They know nothing about it. Well, although about 82% think that sign language is important and 80% think that is very important. Well, our assumption think that the 82% think that it's not that important due to our technology. We can communicate nowadays with just our smartphone, just type what we want to say and just send it to them and they would understand what you are trying to say. But the 80%, we speculate that in campus, we met a lot of different people and we have to be more professional and so on and so forth. So it will be better if we just learn the sign language. Most of them, the participant also thinks that sign language is actually interesting and people who learn it tend to be impressive. People are look up to them because it was amazing due to the lack of sign language interpreters that we're gonna discuss later. But for the level itself, well, in 1993, Garrett and James said that there are 5 domains of language awareness, or we could say 5 levels of language awareness, which are affective, social, power, cognitive, and performance. We're not gonna elaborate all of these levels, but we're just gonna elaborate our levels, which is the lowest one, the affective, which was that the result is that they have the motivation toward learning and using the language. They have an interest in learning and using the language, and they think that language, which in this case, sign language, is a fun thing to learn. But yeah, they can't apply it on daily basis. Next, we've got the second problem. Are there enough sign language users in Indonesian college, especially in UNJ nowadays? According to our data that we gathered, 66% of the Jakarta State University students don't have any relatives or acquaintances that understand sign language. Meanwhile, 34% of them know someone who uses sign language. Well, it's like 1/3 of them, and it's quite a lot. But the thing is, according to World Association of Sign Language Interpreters in 2015, there are only 7 active sign language interpreters that are accepted by Gerkatin. Gerkatin is like the mother organization for the sign language interpreters. And yes, there are only 7 out of 14 active. The thing is, these 14 names, this list that are official for the how do we say it, formal events, it's not enough. It's kind of disappointing, to be honest. And furthermore, most of the sign language interpreters are learning the sign language by self-taught and work by being volunteers. According to college database itself, there are at least 15 colleges that offer special education programs in Indonesia. What about in UNJ? In UNJ itself, in Jakarta State University, we do not have that figures that know how to perform sign language. We do not have a legitimate sign language interpreters. So yeah, in conclusion, we still lack sign language interpreters in college. The third problems, are there any barriers between students with special needs, in this case, deaf and mute people, and normal university students? Well, some of the Jakarta State University students think that special needs students are the same as us. They are no different, period. The thing is, most of them think that they are different no matter what we say. We have a language barrier and a trouble with communication with them. Although this mentioned in a good, or could say a positive way, because in our data, about 63% think that the special needs students are not a burdensome. So we have no problem when talking to them, especially with our smartphone nowadays, right? So yeah, at the end of the day, we all still think that they are human, and they are a human. They still have the same right as us, no matter what you say. And that's the end of it. We really enjoyed having conversation with you guys, and I'll see you on the next day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.